German U-boat captains couldn't believe the Allied sonar that turned hunters into hunted detail section. In the treacherous waters of the Atlantic, elite Kriegsmarine commanders like Otto Kretschmer commanded wolf packs that terrorized Allied shipping, sinking thousands of tons with impunity. But as Aztec sonar and Hedgehog depth charges evolved, these once dominant submariners found their stealth shattered, leading to devastating losses that crippled Hitler's naval campaign. From the depths of disbelief rose a grim awe, as captains surfaced, only to face the unyielding might of convoy escorts closing in like shadows of doom. Japanese admirals mocked the American carrier force until Midway's catastrophic reversal detail section. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto's fleet steamed toward Midway in June 1942, dismissing the battered U.S. Pacific carriers as crippled remnants after Pearl Harbor's triumph. Yet, through code-breaking intelligence from Station Hopo, American task forces under Admirals Nimitz and Spruance ambushed the invaders, sinking 4 Japanese carriers, including the Akagi and Kaga, in a blaze of torpedoes and dive bombers. Arrogance shattered into defeat as the Imperial Navy's elite pilots plummeted into the sea, marking the turning point where Japan's expansion halted forever. Rommel realized Germany's doom after capturing endless Allied supplies in North Africa detail section. The Desert Fox, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, raced across the sands of Libya in 1942, seizing vast depots of American fuel, food, and ammunition left behind by retreating British forces, as his Africa Corps marveled at the sheer volume. Trucks loaded with canned goods and petrol that dwarfed Axis rations, he confided to aides that such industrial abundance spelled inevitable defeat for the Reich. In that sun-scorched moment, triumph twisted into foreboding, as Rommel foresaw the unstoppable Allied tide that would soon engulf his legendary campaign. How one engineer's mad invention built floating harbors that stunned the Normandy invaders detail section. British civil engineer Hugh Iorus Hughes defied skeptics with his revolutionary Mulberry harbors, massive prefabricated ports assembled from concrete caissons and spud pontoons to support the D-Day landings. In the chaos of June 1944, these artificial marvels allowed over 2 million Allied troops and vehicles to pour onto French soil, bypassing destroyed harbors like a miracle from the sea. What began as an impossible sketch transformed into a lifeline of steel and ingenuity, turning the tide from desperate foothold to unstoppable liberation. Allied soldiers were stunned by the Nazi V-2 rockets, screaming from the sky's detail section. In the final desperate throes of 1944, Werner von Braun's V-2 ballistic missiles rained supersonic terror on London and Antwerp, striking without warning and leaving craters of devastation in their wake. Frontline troops and civilians alike froze in disbelief as these silent harbingers of death, launched from mobile platforms in occupied Europe, evaded all defenses, shattering the illusion of safety. From the rubble emerged a chilling awe as the world glimpsed the dawn of rocket warfare that would redefine destruction beyond the battlefield. Luftwaffe aces dismissed the Spitfire until it shredded their Messerschmitts over Britain. Detail section: German pilots like Adolf Galland soared into the Battle of Britain in 1940, scoffing at the RAF's Supermarine Spitfire as an outdated relic against their sleek Bf-109 fighters. But in dogfights over the English Channel, the Spitfire's elliptical wings and Merlin engines proved lethal, outmaneuvering and outgunning the invaders in a whirlwind of tracers and flames. Mockery crumbled into retreat as Hermann Göring's vaunted air armada faltered, handing Churchill's island a defiant victory from the jaws of invasion. Yamamoto warned of Pearl Harbor's risks, but realized Japan's fate. After the attack's backlash detail section, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, architect of the daring strike on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, had cautioned his superiors that awakening America's industrial giant would seal Japan's doom. As U.S. factories churned out fleets of B-17 bombers and Essex-class carriers in response, Yamamoto's fleets faced overwhelming odds at battles like the Coral Sea. In quiet reflections aboard the Yamato, triumph soured into prophecy fulfilled as the admiral grasped the inexorable wave of retribution crashing toward his homeland. How one mechanic's daring fix kept B-17 bombers aloft against flak hell. Detail section: Amid the thunder of 8th Air Force raids over Nazi Germany, Ground Crew Chief Sergeant Maynard Harrison improvised reinforced armor plating and self-sealing fuel tanks for the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. His impossible tweaks turned vulnerable bombers into resilient beasts, surviving storms of 88mm flak guns and FW-190 interceptors to deliver payloads on Berlin.
German tank crews couldn't believe the ghost Shermans that vanished in the fog of Normandy. Detail section. In the misty hedgerows of June 1944, Panzer Lehr Division crews under General Fritz Bayerlein watched in stunned silence as M4 Sherman tanks equipped with Rhino hedgerow cutters and Kulin devices burst through bocage walls like spectral avengers. What began as a defensive stronghold crumbled as Captain Joe Dawson's 1st Infantry Division Shermans flanked and flanked again, their 75mm guns spitting fire into the flanks of Panthers and Tigers. From battlefield arrogance to bewildered retreat, the fog swallowed Axis illusions, heralding the breakout that would race to Paris. Japanese soldiers mocked the toy bazooka until it melted. Their Type 95 tanks in the jungle detail section, Imperial Army troops on Guadalcanal in 1942, laughed at the M1 bazooka, a skinny tube wielded by Marines like Private Al Schmid, dismissing it as American desperation against their armored Hago light tanks. Then, in the moonlit chaos of the Tenaru River, shaped charge rockets punched through thin plating, erupting fuel and steel in orange fireballs that lit the night. Laughter choked into screams as the toy turned jungle trails into graveyards, proving one man with a shoulder-fired miracle could doom an entire platoon. Eisenhower realized victory was sealed after capturing the Ludendorff Bridge intact detail section. On March 7, 1945, Task Force Engelmann of the 9th Armored Division raced across the Rhine at Remagen, seizing the Ludendorff Railroad Bridge before German engineers could detonate charges. As Supreme Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower stared at reconnaissance photos, he grasped the war's end. The last natural barrier breached, Hitler's heartland exposed. From frantic defense to inevitable collapse, the bridge's survival became the hinge on which the Reich's fate swung, a single span carrying Allied destiny. How one welder's midnight gamble built P-51 Mustangs that escorted bombers to Berlin. Detail section. At North American Aviation's Inglewood plant, foreman Edgar Schmude and welder Rose Will Monroe fused aluminum longerons and drop tanks in record time, birthing the P-51D Mustang with its Merlin engine and bubble canopy. By 1944, these silver predators, under Colonel Hubert Zemke's 479th Fighter Group, roamed 1,600 miles to Berlin, shredding Luftwaffe interceptors and shielding B-17 formations from flak hell. From factory floor to stratosphere, one woman's torch sparked the long-range supremacy that starved the Reich of air cover. RAF pilots were stunned by the FW-190's first ambush over the Channel detail section. In the summer of 1941, Spitfire Mk-5 pilots of No. 485 Squadron scrambled from Kent, expecting routine patrols, only to be slashed by Kurt Tank's radial-engined Focke-Wulf 190s diving at 400 miles per hour. Wing Commander Brendan Finucane's formation disintegrated in seconds, radios crackling with disbelief as superior climb and firepower turned hunters into prey. Shock rippled through Fighter Command, igniting a frantic race for the Spitfire Mark IX that would claw back the skies. Italian sailors dismissed the frogmen until human torpedoes crippled their fleet at Alexandria. Detail section. Regia. Marina officers in Alexandria harbor scoffed at rumors of British human torpedoes until December 19, 1941, when Decima Flottiglia mass commandos, actually Italian turncoats turned Allied, rode SLC Mayal chariots beneath HMS Valiant and Queen Elizabeth. Explosive warheads detonated at dawn, settling 2 battleships on the harbor floor in plumes of oil and steel. From smug anchorage to crippled fleet, the silent riders rewrote naval sabotage, leaving Mussolini's Mediterranean dreams listing and broken. Stalin warned of Barbarossa, but realized survival. After Moscow's winter counterstroke detail section. On June 22, 1941, Joseph Stalin ignored intelligence of Operation Barbarossa, certain Hitler would honor their pact, until Panzer Group II, under Heinz Guderian, stood 20 miles from Moscow. Then, in December's -40°C blizzard, General Georgy Zhukov unleashed Siberian divisions with T-34 tanks and Katyusha rockets, encircling and annihilating the frozen Wehrmacht. Disbelief thawed into grim resolve as the Red Army's counterblow shattered the myth of invincibility, buying time for the motherland's resurrection. How one codebreaker's hunch cracked Enigma and doomed the wolf packs. Detail section. At Bletchley Park's Hut 8, mathematician Alan Turing and welder-turned-cryptanalyst Joan Clark seized a single German weather ship's Enigma machine and code books in May 1941. Their bomb machines whirred through permutations, unveiling U-boat positions nightly, routing convoys around Admiral Dönitz's wolf packs like ghosts in the Atlantic. From encrypted arrogance to exposed prey, one captured rotor unlocked the ocean, starving Germany of supplies and sealing the U-boat arm's watery grave. Allied paratroopers,